that Africa is the next frontier. We've said this because Africa has enormous potential in terms of resources. We've said this because we've seen in the dynamism of the young people of the African continent. What Africa has faced a challenge in is a leadership that can leverage on the advantage that the African continent has. Africa now must become a continent of innovation, a continent of beneficiation of its mineral resources, and a continent of industrialization. We must move away from the practice of having our minerals carted raw and exported. We now must beneficiate. We must develop, we must process on the African continent. Of course, this will require skills, it will require partnerships, it will require an injection of financial resources from partners, from the private sector, from business. And this is what Africa must seek to do now. Africa has begun to take the first few faltering steps, if I may call them that, in the direction of ensuring that this happens. We have now put in place the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. We are now beginning, and the president of Angola, my brother Lorenzo, spoke to the development of trade corridors. The Lobito corridor is but one. We need to proceed along this line and trajectory and ensure that there are corridors that connect Africa. When we exploit our potential in terms of renewable energy, we need to be able to have infrastructure, interconnectors that are able to transmit the power across the breadth and dimensions of the African continent through all these countries. Right now, as we speak, it is difficult. In fact, it is next to impossible to travel seamlessly and efficiently between these African capitals. Sometimes in order to move from Luanda to Gaborone, you have to go all the way to Addis Ababa. We need to address this and make sure that there's connectivity, that there's seamlessness of connection between us. And so the digital trade platform that was inaugurated in Zambia recently also affords opportunity and potential for Africa. And so it seems to me that Africa is well on its way to moving away from a source of raw material for the world into a hub of innovation, a hub of creativity, a hub of industrialization. This is what it's about, and these are not just poetic ornaments. They must translate into action, into concrete deliverables. Thank you very much.
He made a shocking statement from New York City that's creating big waves across Africa. What did he say? Is this the new spirit of Africa, or a president who's finally speaking up for the continent? And what does this mean for Africa's future? Let's unpack it all right now. You know, sometimes change doesn't come from grand speeches. It comes from one powerful word, the word stop. This is exactly what Botswanan President Duma Boko dropped a bombshell in New York City recently when he said, Africa must stop exporting raw resources. This isn't your regular diplomatic speech. This is a leader with a vision. He's saying to the world, we're done with being just suppliers of raw materials. Why is this such a big deal? Let's take a simple example, diamonds. Botswana is known for its diamonds. They bring in huge money. But the bigger picture is this. When Botswana sells rough diamonds, their price depends on international markets, on the trends and demands overseas. But when those same diamonds end up in jewelry stores, their price skyrockets. They become much more valuable. So why not cut out the middlemen and reap the higher profits? That's the logic President Boko is driving at. He wants Botswana to take control of its diamond industry, to cut, polish, and sell the diamonds themselves, taking home much more profit. But why stop there? He's urging the entire African continent to go beyond just supplying raw materials. He's asking us to become manufacturers, innovators, and exporters of finished products. He's calling for a true African industrial revolution. Think about it. Most of Africa's wealth in raw material form leaves the continent untouched. Oil from Nigeria, gold from South Africa, copper from Zambia, diamonds from Angola, rubber from Liberia. It all leaves Africa in its raw form. When it returns, it's often in the form of expensive finished products that we cannot afford. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Africa has over 60% of the world's mineral resources, yet it ranks among the bottom 25 countries in industrial capacity. How does this even happen? Let me explain. We export unprocessed cocoa from Africa, which later becomes expensive chocolate bars in European supermarkets. We export cobalt and lithium to make someone else richer. We export logs, then import expensive furniture, and we pay higher prices for the very resources that we own. Why? Because we keep exporting raw materials instead of adding value to them before exporting. I remember a conversation I had with an artisan from Kenya who makes beautiful beaded jewelry. He told me his beads are actually from China because in Kenya they were too expensive. He buys them in bulk, makes these fantastic pieces, and then sells them to high-end stores. The value increases many times over, but most of that profit goes to traders from Asia and Europe. So why can't we as Africans do the same thing on a larger scale? And that's the question President Boko is boldly raising. He urged fellow African leaders to emulate what other non-African countries have been doing for years. They export manufactured goods. They export value-added products. And that's how they grow their economies. But let's get real. There are challenges. Just saying stop exporting raw materials isn't enough. Some argue that we lack the infrastructure for large-scale manufacturing. Others say we don't have the technology or skilled labor. Then there are those who think that we should just keep exporting raw materials and use the money to improve our infrastructure. But President Boko disagrees. He believes that processing our own resources and building our own industries will drive the development we all want. It's a matter of ownership. When we control the entire process from raw material to finished product, we keep more of the profits in our own hands. It's about taking charge of our economic destinies. This echoes the sentiments of many African citizens who are tired of seeing their natural resources exploited by foreign companies and multinational corporations. For decades, these corporations have reaped massive profits while African communities often live in poverty, despite having abundant resources. It's time for a change. This shift won't be easy, but it's essential for Africa's growth. It requires investment, innovation, and strategic planning. We need to develop local industries, create jobs, and reduce our dependence on exporting raw materials. We also need to work together as a continent. African countries must unite to support each other in this journey towards industrialization. We have the resources and the talent. All we need is the will to process our own resources and build our own industries. Now, some might say, that sounds great, but how do we start? Well, it starts with small steps, with the mindset of, we can do it. It's about supporting local businesses, investing in education, and training our workforce. It's also about learning from other countries that have successfully industrialized. Many Asian nations have done it. So can we. So here's my question for you. Do you think Africa can industrialize? Will we stop exporting raw materials and start manufacturing finished goods? Let me know in the comments section below. Your voice matters. President Boko challenges us all to rethink our strategies. It's a call for action, not just words. His words are a clarion call to wake up and take charge of our future. But it's not just about economics. It's about dignity. It's about self-respect. As African countries process their own resources and manufacture their own goods, they regain control over their own destinies. They reduce their reliance on foreign aid and become active participants in the global economy. But there's a catch. To truly transform the continent, we need more than just good intentions. We need united action. Let's examine the recent military coups in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. These events sent ripples across the globe, but they also hold valuable lessons for the rest of Africa. They show us the strong feelings people have when their resources are exploited and when their voices aren't heard. These leaders are saying loud and clear, we want to take charge of our own futures. We won't let our resources be drained without benefiting. But let's be realistic. While these actions raise awareness, they also carry risks. We need to ensure stability and security across the continent. Instability affects everyone, the people, the investors, and the overall growth of Africa. So the path forward requires careful navigation. On one hand, we have the need to address the root causes of instability, poverty, inequality, and lack of opportunity. On the other hand, we need to maintain stability and security to create an environment for sustainable development. To achieve this, we need strong institutions, transparent governance, and active citizenship. We must tackle corruption, promote human rights, and ensure that every citizen has a voice. Only then can we build lasting peace and prosperity. The journey ahead may be complex, but it's crucial for Africa's future. As we navigate these challenges, let's remember the words of President Boko. Africa must stop exporting raw materials. It's a call for change, a demand for action. It's a message to the world that Africa is ready to take its rightful place as a major player in the global economy. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Together we can drive positive change and shape a brighter future for Africa. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more insightful content. And most importantly, share this video with friends and family so that we can continue to spread this important message across the continent and beyond. Let's continue the conversation. Catch you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and stay empowered.
Yes, brothers and sisters, welcome back to Make Africa Great. You heard a lot from this video talking about President Duma Boko, what President Boko said in New York. My dear brothers and sisters, President Boko said the time for Africa is now. This is the time for Africa to start beneficiating from our natural resources by industrializing and value addition. Of course, this is not the first time to hear from our leaders talking about beneficiation and value addition, developing our industries and value addition in general. But the question is, are we led for the changes that we want? Are we led to industrialize this continent? Or we are just talking? You know, African leaders have good words, have good speeches, sweet and nice, but when it comes to actions, that's where we are failing. So it's my hope that maybe starting with himself, he will do what he's talking, because we have seen diamond being taken out of the continent. Of course, recent nickel industry or mines were opened, but I think President Boko will start first as Botswana's leader to demonstrate, because we have seen, for instance, in Burkina Faso, Captain Traoré, what he's doing is amazing. He's said no more gold will go out, no more resources will go out. And we saw how America was shaken until you saw recently when you heard General Lang talking about Captain Ibrahim Traoré using gold reserve to protect himself. You know, Burkina Faso is selling gold to Russia, exchanging weapons. All in all, it's because of decision made by Captain Ibrahim Traoré. So will other African leaders follow the same suit? Or will just speak? You know, speaking is very easy, but actions is what Africans we are failing. The question that I want to ask you, brothers and sisters, for this leadership that we have in the continent of Africa, do you see the commitment and seriousness in our leaders that what they're saying is true and they're going to act the way they're saying. Or it's just, as I said, good words and good speeches in front of others. Because it doesn't make sense till today we are speaking the same thing, value addition. We are talking the same thing, improving infrastructures. For how long we'll continue to speak these things? Right now we need to move out of speech, out of things. Yesterday, I shared a video of African leaders begging for the seat in the UN Security Council. And I asked in that video that what if these 5 permanent members will veto for any African nation or for permanent seats in the UN to go to African continent? What will happen? And what African continent will do? Have you tried to think about that? We do nothing because we did nothing when they came to Gaddafi. And recently, we did nothing when they came to Captain Traore. They accused Captain Ibrahim Traore for nothing. And African Union, African leaders, no one condemned. But we see African leaders condemning Russia, condemning other things. That is not in touch with our continent. So let me dive a little bit in the issue of course, President Boko has spoken the issue of infrastructures. This is very, very important. Right now, we are talking about continental free trade areas, brothers and sisters. How can we trade if we don't have infrastructures? You see, right now, it is very easy for Africans, for instance, South Africa, to trade with China, to trade with UK, with Europe, because these powerful nations have infrastructure. They use air transport, they use big ships, water, and through ocean. You see, it is very easy for them to transport goods from their homeland or their countries to Africa. And that's why you see it is difficult for Africans, maybe South Africa, to trade with Malawi. Why? Because Malawi looks like a landlocked country. It is not in the ocean. So it is very easy for South Africa to look into east and west instead of looking within. So if we are serious, we want changes and we want to improve our trade and to enhance business among Africans, let us focus on infrastructures. And there's no one who will come and improve our infrastructure. You know, sometimes we go out and begging and saying, please help us, give us finance or fund or to run our infrastructure. The things that will not occur very easy. These powerful nations are not ready to support Africans to build these infrastructure that maybe sometimes we're asking for. These powerful nations, they want Africa to continue in these states where they can exploit and take these minerals into raw forms. The only thing that we need to do is to improve these infrastructures. We have to put our fund, maybe you, Botswana, you have to contribute maybe $1 billion US. You, Namibia, you have to contribute maybe $2 US billions, something like that. If we can do like that, brothers and sisters, we can succeed and we can achieve. And it's my hope that if we can collaborate and work together, and that's what we lack right now. As you heard from President Boko, that is very difficult for African nations, African people to travel within. For people in Botswana to go into Rwanda, not Rwanda as Kigali, to go into Rwanda, Angola, people need to go first to Addis Ababa. There's no direct flight. What things make this difficult to have a direct flight? And if you look very keenly, you find every nation has airline, they have plane, but just little one, somebody has, maybe some country has 2 and one another one 4. Why don't we combine and create massive and powerful airline? Or let us contribute to Ethiopia Airline, or to Rwanda Airline, or to Tanzania Airways. It is possible, but because we are not speaking with one voice, we are not united. That's why it is difficult. Of course, also the issue of partnership. You heard about partnership. Of course, we need partnership, but we are not partnering with ourselves. Why don't we start partnering ourselves before looking to China? It looks like if you are partnering with China, it is a real partnership. But to partner with Angola, with Burkina Faso is not a real partnership, because we see that maybe Chinese as technology, Europeans as technology. You know, these people have technology because they're so united and they're so stable. People are sitting and thinking about what they can do. In Africa, we think how we can survive. We have conflict, we have hunger, we have diseases. So our brain cannot stay cool and relaxing. We are thinking about this tragedy and like wars, conflict, sometimes diseases. So we need to relax to make our brain relaxing and think properly. Right now, you cannot tell the people in the Democratic Republic of Congo to think properly with their resources. It is the Americans and the Europeans and Chinese who are using resources in Democratic Republic of Congo. Why? Because they are not destabilized. But if you go to Congo, you find people are learning to serve their lives. There are conflict there. So people cannot think properly. Children are not going to school. Students are not learning new skills. So partnership is good, but let us start partnering with ourselves and do what is good and right for us. Skills, yes, we need skills, but we have skills here in the continent of Africa. But the problem that we have, we are not developing our skills. You saw in Burkina, they manufactured electric cars, the same to Uganda. In Zimbabwe there, you saw somebody called Chikumbuso. You remember I shared the videos about him. So we have technologies. You remember during COVID, what Africans did? They invented many things, ventilators, something like that. Africans, we have technologies. But the problem that we have, we are not mobilizing people and bring them together and to harvest their skills and technologies. And that's why we are looking to China, we are looking to Europe. But if we can mobilize and keep together Africans, you will see wonderful things here in the continent of Africa. Because within a short time, we have seen Africans innovating, creating, and manufacturing. It is possible. So all in all, it needs all of us Africans to come together. One thing that hindering and confusing Africa is division. We are divided in such a way we don't see that we can get help and we can get support from our neighboring countries or our neighbor or brother or sister country. We are looking west or east. We think Europeans are light. We think Americans are light. We think Chinese are light. All Russians are light. And that's why we are not looking within, we are looking outside. So, my dear brothers and sisters, after that, let me say, thank you. Have a nice time. I would like to end here. Be prepared for another video. But for those who are new, make sure that you like and you subscribe to join the big family of Make Africa Great. And if you've already subscribed, please like it. Also share this message to us Africans. We are here to find best solutions for challenges. Thank you for watching. Have a nice time. See you next time in other videos. African leaders are in New York right now. They're preparing to provide speeches and to share their thoughts worldwide, what they're going to offer. But one thing that we need to expect, nothing will change as long as we are not united. African leaders will speak will provide good speeches, good words, but without unity among leaders, among Africans, nothing will happen. So, brothers and sisters, thank you. Have a nice time.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. Oh, yeah. You make Africa great. Thank you, Africa. Thank you, Africa.